They say nature abhors a vacuum. I say nature prefers a punchline. This is not a documentary about gentle meadows or the sweet ballet of pollination. No, this is about volume, about the moment we, in our infinite, shimmering wisdom, decided to give nature a gift it didn't ask for. A liberation, a truly spectacular unleashing. The question wasn't if the dam would break, but what form the flood would take. And oh, what a lovely, terrifying form it took. It began, as all great disasters do, with the best of intentions and a truly staggering amount of grant money. The Eden Project, a collaboration of the world's most brilliant, and perhaps most bored, ecologists. Their goal? To reverse the ecological damage of a century in a single, audacious stroke. Their chosen symbol, the monarch butterfly. Beautiful, fragile, and in desperate need of a continent-wide population boost. We're talking millions. Tens of millions. An unimaginable iridescent swarm, bred in the largest climate-controlled vivarium ever constructed, a dome, so vast, it had its own weather patterns. They called it the chrysalis chamber. I called it a really expensive box of trouble. The official launch date was set for the autumnal migration, a calculated risk, a scheduled miracle. They just forgot to calculate for the one thing you can never schedule, chaos. The day arrived with a kind of sickly sweet, nervous energy. News crews clustered like anxious vultures. Dignitaries adjusted their ties, and high above the pristine release site, the massive, automated roof of the chrysalis chamber began to retract. A moment of silence, a collective, held breath. And then, the color. A wave of orange and black, so dense, so impossible, it looked less like life and more like a fluid spill of pure light. They weren't fluttering out, they were gushing. A silent, furious river of wings. Millions of monarchs, and then the others. See, the Eden team had been too successful. Their perfect conditions, their hyper-accelerated growth cycles, hadn't just boosted the monarchs. Every other species they had been incubating for release, every lacewing, every swallowtail, every exotic beetle, every caterpillar that had hitched a ride on the perfectly organic, perfectly nutritious milkweed, had also exploded in population. It wasn't a release, it was an expulsion. The sky didn't fill with monarchs, it filled with everything. A living, breathing, biological storm. And this storm had a curious habit. It didn't fly away from civilization, it flew toward it. The first reports were quaint. Traffic jam caused by gorgeous swarm. Local baker runs out of sugar due to winged visitors. Ah, quaint. That night, the coastal towns reported a sunset that wasn't red or purple. It was orange and black, a vast, flapping blanket settling over everything. Streetlights glowed with an eerie, diffuse shimmer. The air tasted thick and dry, and that's when the humor began to curdle, didn't it? When people woke up to find their perfectly manicured suburban lawns moving, not grass swaying, but a slow, inching carpet of hungry, segmented life. Because you see, a butterfly storm isn't just butterflies, it's also the larval stage. The infinite, tiny, chewing mouths that had just been granted an all-access pass to the world's soft, green buffet. And as the sun rose on day 2, the world learned a terrible truth. A caterpillar will eat your garden, but a million caterpillars will eat your house. The first wave of media frenzy quickly subsided, replaced by a deep, communal dread. You see, the Eden team had perfected the monarch's immune system. These were not the frail, delicate creatures of backyard folklore. They were hyper-efficient eating machines. Survivalists in tiny, brightly colored jackets. The initial charm of the butterfly cloud vanished when structural engineers realized that the sheer weight of the resting swarm, millions of insects clinging to roofs, bridges, and power lines, was causing localized stress fractures. The humming you heard wasn't the wind, it was the combined vibration of an impossible number of wings. And then there was the silence. The human silence. As the storm intensified, people retreated. Not from fear of being stung, butterflies don't sting, thankfully. No, they retreated from the sheer, overwhelming presence of an ecosystem that had decided to move indoors. Think about it, every surface, every window pane, every ventilation shaft covered by a shimmering, unsettling blanket of life. The sound of the wind was gone. The sound of traffic. Gone. Replaced only by the endless, unsettling chorus of chewing. The caterpillars, having devoured every leaf outside, began to seek new territory. They don't mind drywall, you know, or cardboard, or the cotton blend of a very expensive sofa. They are equal opportunity diners. And the dark humor. It peaked when Mayor Thompson of Coastal City was forced to make an official announcement, not about mandatory evacuation, but about mandatory sweeping. "Citizens," he stammered, his face covered in a fine layer of orange scales, "please, use only non-lethal methods. We are not murderers, we are simply tidying up." Tidy up, as if you could sweep back the tide of evolution. As if you could simply put the genie back into the chrysalis chamber. This was nature's clever revenge, its ultimate silent critique of our interference. A beautiful, unstoppable, utterly polite invasion. The butterfly storm never truly ended, it simply dispersed. The millions of caterpillars eventually did what caterpillars do, they putated, and for 3 weeks, the world held its breath under a blanket of silent, jade-green chrysalises. Every tree, every fence post, every stop sign encased in a tiny, perfect tomb. A global waiting period. Then, the final act. They emerged. Not a storm this time, but a permanent, global saturation. 1,000,000 butterflies for every square mile. You couldn't walk outside without your clothes becoming instantly dusted with orange wing scales. They were everywhere. They became the air. The Eden Project succeeded beyond their wildest, most terrifying dreams. They had set nature free. And nature, being a creature of elegant extremes, didn't just restore balance. It shifted it. It gave us a new, brightly colored, silently flapping world where every sunset is framed by 1,000,000 wings. And the only traffic you worry about is the slow, relentless inching of hungry larvae. Look closely at the sky tonight. That isn't a cloud. That's a monarch. And there are millions more where that came from. Be careful what you wish for when you decide to set nature free. Dear viewer, because sometimes, freedom looks a lot like a beautiful, relentless, orange and black prison. If the chilling beauty of the butterfly storm has left you wondering what other dark secrets nature is hiding right beneath its delicate surface, then don't let this nightmare flutter away. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, if you could unleash one species upon the world, which one would it be, and what is the absolute worst that could happen? Subscribe for more tales of suspense, mystery, and the delightfully dreadful side of science, and be sure to ring that notification bell, or you might miss the next time an innocent creature turns into a global catastrophe.